one of the best ways to treat people who approach women with wrong intentions. What is it? Let's find out in today's episode of Entertainment Cube. Hi, this is Amar. Hey, welcome to episode 15 of Entertainment Podcast. So, today we're going to talk about one of the most talked about films, or short film, I should be saying, by Sujoy Ghosh called Ahalya. I'm sure you must have caught it, or in case you haven't, post listening to this, I'm sure you would be intrigued enough to watch it. So this is a short film that came almost 2 years ago. This is the one that introduced me to large short films. The YouTube channel, who has been producing really good quality short films. I have mentioned it earlier also on this podcast. So this one is written and directed by Sujoy Ghosh. Ahalya has the basis from Ramayana, where you have Gautam Rishi, who cursed his wife to become stone because of the act of Indra, who assumed the form of Gautam Rishi and made love with Ahalya. Well, Ahalya was unaware that he was Indra and not Gautam Rishi. So that's the basic storyline as Tota Roy Chaudhary, who acts as Indra in the movie, says. You have Soumitra Chatterjee, and that's one of the reasons that Sujoy Ghosh is quoted. He wanted to make this movie. Soumitra Chatterjee acting as Gautam Sadhu, and Radhika Apte playing the role of very sensuous and attractive Ahalya. All three actors have done a brilliant and fantastic job. Obviously, the story and screenplay is very tight, so is the direction, and it's all set in a bungalow in Kolkata. So you clearly do not see much more outside, but then whatever happens is pure magic. Okay, so what's the part that I liked the most about this movie? I loved the modern interpretation of the story. It does have influence of one of the short story from Satyajit Ray, but what is even more interesting to see is how it is connected with the original storyline of Ramayana, and this one actually made me think about what was the thinking and the rationale, the message that the movie intends to give to a larger audience. I would love to watch a movie and the creator from the purpose of a message that he or she wants to give. I'm not talking about some of the mindless short films or movies or web series that come out, which is purely for the purpose of entertainment, or the creator feels that it's something which will have a mass appeal. I've reviewed some of those also in the earlier part of this podcast. But this short film, it left me with mind puzzling possibilities. It worked on multiple layers, multiple interpretation for me. So that's the thing that I wanted to share with you. As I said, this movie has been watched millions of times on YouTube, and this one was shared so many times by different people on different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and it was very widely appreciated. It definitely fueled a good amount of short films. So coming back, what are some of my interpretations? And there are only three of them, three different interpretations, but kind of connected. And I'll tell you how it connects to the title that I mentioned in the beginning of the show. So, the first interpretation or possibility that I saw that Sujoy Ghosh wanted to convey is Ahalya and Gautam Sadhu are trapping people and making them into dolls. Why are they doing it? Maybe because they are evil and possess evil powers. This is where they are bad. Okay, this is the first interpretation. What's the second interpretation? All the people that come to this haunted house, if I may use, while it's not haunted, there are people residing, but just clearly, I'm using that word, get converted into doll. But why are people coming to this place? In is the question. Maybe all of them came with different needs, but obviously this is a short film which covers just one section, one segment of it, and obviously they could not cover that. And now coming to the third interpretation that really appealed to me, even though they say it's a modern take on Ahalya's story, I feel the way it is presented, it's really good. And this third interpretation is pretty much what I feel agitated about. I feel concerned about. I feel that our society needs to find ways and means to kind of fix it. And that's where I was referring to the interpretation of men rape or molest women. And we have seen umpteen cases in the recent past. The main sufferer has been the women. They they just have to close themselves, or they normally end up closing themselves from the entire world. They become closed inside. They lock themselves. They commit suicide. They're unable to come out, unable to talk. The Me Too movement has started very late, but it's a good thing. So, what's the approach that we can talk about here? Is and how did I find it similar? So, in Ahalya's story, or the movie, as I would say, because of Indra, she is cursed to turn into stone, the original Ramayana story that I mentioned. So, here in this short film, Gautam Sadhu and Ahalya try to test the morality of men by trying to seduce them. And that's very well played by Radhika Apte when he enters, be it the normal clothing. And clothing, as we say, it clearly depends on the eye with which we see it, and that's evident in the Inspector Indrasen's eyes while he's walking behind her, or the way Radhika Apte tries to seduce him by touching or just passing the tea. So, this is the test of morality and how I would do it, right? Whether the man gives in, and that makes him much more susceptible in a situation where there are no bounds or no limits. So, here I would say in the short film, the way I interpreted it is, while they try to seduce and test the morality, to create a protective shield, Ahalya is blessed by Gautam Sadhu that anyone who tries to get intimate with her will turn into a doll. That's the treatment. That's the punishment, if you may call. So, if Inspector Indrasen wouldn't have given in to the temptation of enjoying time or getting intimate with Ahalya. He wouldn't have turned into the doll. So that's clearly my interpretation of what happened in the movie. What was the thought process? It could have been different. What was your interpretation? As I said, I've definitely mentioned to you rather than mentioning the storyline or the overall approach, because this one had multiple layers for me. I actually described what those layers were. So the movie, as you might have guessed, is simple storyline where the person enters. He has come for investigating something, which is the previous person who turned into a doll. And what happens with him, where he sees that there is a stone which can turn him into anything. He goes up to check that, and then he himself turns into the doll. Now, why did I say what's one of the best ways to treat people? Is you would get to experience when you get into the doll. Obviously, you are still inside, and as they show it in the movie, also, the person is shouting, the person is screaming to come out. And that's exactly the frustration, the pain, the tribulation that a woman goes through after suffering through these not welcome incidences or interactions with people. So, is that one of the best ways to experience? I would love you to comment on that. One of the questions that I couldn't get a clarity on is the name Arjun. While all the other names have been well placed, the Indra, Ahalya, Gautam Sadhu, all the names have been well placed. The character who comes before this whole incident and for whom the inspector has come to investigate, his name is Arjun, and the person who comes towards the end, his name is also Arjun. Now, these two are coming from two different mythologies. Ahalya was part of the Ramayana series, whereas Arjun was a character as a part of Rishi Vedvyasa's Mahabharata. So, don't know if there is a crossover. So, if you are aware, please let me know. So, thank you very much for listening. Really appreciate your feedback. Please share, comment, subscribe. And I will talk to you soon with another episode.